أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. Dear sisters and brothers, Salamun Alaikum. Getting permission from my elders and respected scholars. Being present really changes everything. Right now we sent a salawat. We are remembering our Prophet, his Ahlul Bayt. Let's practice another salawat. As you send salawat, send your heart to the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt. A little bit, let's be more mindful. Should we try another one? It doesn't have to be loud. Just as you're doing it, send your heart as well. Let's do it. Bismillah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Yesterday, we spoke about the idea that there are two ways of being in the world. Please pay attention. This would solve so much of the questions you have about religion, so much of the challenges we have right now in our community when it comes to theological discussions. Should we do this? Should we not do that? Should we need to reform our religion? Should we not? A lot of the questions you have, inshallah, will be answered if God helps me use the right words, and if, inshallah, God helps you to be present. There are two ways of being in the world. In one way, as we discussed yesterday, you are goal-oriented. You want to get something out. Your intention is not to relate to something, to understand it, to experience it, to encounter it. No, you just want to use it. It doesn't matter if you don't encounter the whole thing. No, all you need to know about it is enough information to be able to use it. And this is not something bad. Imagine if you want to use your printer, you don't need to encounter the whole of the printer. No, you just need to get it to print the document you want. So it doesn't matter who made this printer, what is the material used to make it. No, all you need is to print something. This is one way of being in the world, attending to things. This is actually a blessing given to us to make our life easier. When you want to get something done, when you want to make a tool, when you want to get a goal done, you want to cook food, you use this type of being in the world, this type of attention. You look at a tomato, you don't need to always know who was the farmer that planted the seed that turned into this tomato. You don't need to know in which land, which ocean evaporated by sun, and then the water went up and it turned into rain and poured over that farm out of which a tomato came. No, what do you need? This tomato, I want to make omelet for my children. You don't want to encounter the reality of that tomato. So when you want to get something done, you cut something from its root, from all the connection it has. You don't care who made that tomato. You don't care about the farmer, about anything. And it's, of course, because all of that information, if you want to make omelette every time you want to think of all of that, you'll never get, your children will remain hungry. So that is a useful way of being in the world. When you cut something from its source, from its root, from its history, from where it came from, you turn it into an object that you want to use. Sometimes this is very useful. The problem we have right now is that that way of attending to objects, to tools that we wanted to use, has been extended to important aspects of our life. In the same way that when you want to use a printer, you don't need to encounter it, you don't need to experience it, you don't need to relate to it. If we bring this mode of attention to our friendships, to our relationships, we turn our friends into tools, into objects. In a friendship, you don't want to use the person. You want to relate to them. You want to be in a real encounter with them. You don't want to cut them from their roots. You don't want to cut them from their history. This is a whole person in front of you. A soul so much more complex than a tomato or a printer. But even a printer, if we really want to get to know it, it's impossible. If you really want to get to know one tomato, it's impossible. The farmer who made it, what was the feeling of the farmer? Which clouds poured rain on top of it? What was the soil like? Who was the truck driver who brought the tomato from the farm to you? The person in Sainsbury who put the tomato on the shelf. Do you know how much information is in one tomato? Hello, imagine a soul, a human soul in front of you. Every friend that we have, every partner that we have, do you know how vast the person in front of you is? And it's impossible to get to reduce them to a set of features. We will never know the person in front of us. We can only relate to them, experience them. And that doesn't happen in the same way you attend to your printer. No, you have to attend to them in a different way. So there are two ways of being in the world, attending to things. In one way, you turn things into objects you want to use. You cut it from its past, from the things around it. You just bring it under your control. You want to control, you want to manipulate. And there's nothing wrong with it if it's for a good reason. But imagine if you treat a friend like that. If you reduce your friend to the goals he can satisfy from you. Oh, this is the friend that I can go to not to be alone. I'm not saying it's wrong to be with your friend and not be alone. But if you reduce them to that, you no longer encounter them. You cut them from their soul because they become an object. The way you attend the world changes what you find. If you bring this mode of attention, you cut people from their soul, you turn them into an object. You want to grasp them. You want to control them. Now, you can do the same to your partner. Instead of being with them, instead of being in a relationship with them, you just go to your mind and try to analyze them, turn them into a set of features. This way of being in the world has a very limited knowledge of the real life. Please recite salawat. Slowly, what has happened to our culture right now, and this is not just our community, this is the whole world. We have become so used to this mode of being in the world. This mode in which it only wants to turn things into object. It cuts them from their root. It only thinks that the only understanding is through the mind, through this mode of thinking. Hala, imagine taking this to your partner. Your partner, instead of being a fresh soul, because imagine a soul is in front of you. Every moment you can relate to a soul. You can experience them, encounter them, get fresh information from them. If instead of that, you just turn them into an object, yeah, this is my wife, she does these things for me, to a set of functions that she performs at home, you are no longer in touch with the real soul out there. And you limit them to the limited knowledge that you have of them in your mind. Even in therapy, those of you who are either counselors or therapists know that the sign of any good counselor is that when you sit in the room with a patient, with a client, don't look at them as an object. You don't say, in front of me is a person with a problem that I need to solve. If you go with that mindset, you've turned them into an object. You're goal-oriented. You have an agenda when you meet that person. If you have an agenda, if you reduce that soul in front of you to a client with a problem, a whole soul is reduced to 3 lines. This person born in that age, problem OCD. This person born in that age, problem anxiety. You reduced a whole soul into 3 sentences. You cut them from their roots, from their history, from their soul, from all aspects of their life. And you have a goal. I'm going to give them an answer. I'm going to give them a solution. If you go this way, you will never encounter the person. And the person will never open up to you because they feel it. A soul feels when you treat them as a soul. If you treat them as anything less than that, if you're not present, if you're not ready for an encounter between 2 souls, if you're not ready to be in a relation with the person in front of you, they will never open up to you. It's very interesting. Even studies show now, regardless of the modality of therapy, this is mind-blowing science. It doesn't matter whether you do CBT, DBT, integrative, transpersonal, regardless of the modality of the therapy, which type of therapist you go to, the outcome of the therapy is more dependent on the relationship between the therapist and the client. More than the theories you learned in academy, what matters is how are you relating to the person in front of you. The same they teach optometrists, dentists, don't see the person in front of you as a set of eyes. They tell dentists, don't see the person in front of you as a set of teeth. And we always have the temptation to treat people like that. If as an optometrist, the patient comes to my clinic, I see them as a set of eyes, I have killed their soul. The person in front of me is no longer a soul, it's a tool, it's an object. I have a goal, I have an agenda, and so I no longer meet the rest of them. Whenever you treat someone with a goal, you reduce them to a set of features, you don't see the rest of them. The world will hide the rest of it from you because you're not interested. So this is the danger, the kind of attention that was given to us as human beings to use on tools, to make tools for our life, to make our life easier. We're bringing that type of attention to the most important things in our life, to our friendships, to our relationships, even to important things like life. We want to understand everything through this little limited mode of thinking which was used for tools. Even when you want to understand life, you think the only way to understand it is to think about it. Imagine which other animal in the whole world, among the living beings, ever ask itself, what is the point of life? Do you think there's, in any farm in the UK, a cow sitting, what's the point of life? Is there any cow ever, or a dog, or a horse doubting, am I a worthy horse? Is there any point to life? Should I continue living? No. You're meant to live life. You had a servant. You had a way of attending to the world, which was your servant, to use this to make tools. This way of being in the world, analyzing, thinking, rationalizing, this was given to you to make tools. Hala, this servant that you had, your mind that was your servant, has become master. It's come over here, it's questioning your life. Why are you alive? Are you worthy? Explain to me. This mode of attention is very limited. It can only understand simple things. It does not have the capacity to understand important things like your life. It was made to cut things from their roots, from their source, bring them under the microscope of your attention to manipulate them. Your soul is not manipulatable. So this mode of looking at your life, at your relationships, will never be able to give you the answer. Please recite the salawat. If it's okay, can the brothers and sisters come a little bit forward to open space for all the beautiful souls who come in? I'm so sorry, by the way, to be that person who makes you to get up and use all that energy from iftar, and already you're going to get hungry for suhoor, but thank you so much. Bless your soul. Let's recite the salawat. No, it just, I think I kept going that way. Yeah, and then it's good? Okay. Sure, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you guys. What a beautiful night. Khub, let's recite another salawat so we can start. I think we need at least 4 or 5 salawats to get it back. But khub, if everyone could quickly find a place for themselves, let's get the train going. Thank you so much, dear brothers and sisters. Bless your souls. It's good, right? I was becoming a little bit tense. Now I loosened up. Closer, sure. Yeah, much better. I'll do whatever you tell me. Today I'm feeling a little bit nicer, nah? Yesterday I was so aggressive. Although it wasn't aggression, it was passion. Bless you. Hope, are we ready, guys? Are we feeling well? Imagine people at home watching on YouTube. They're like, what's happening? If you want, you get up as well, come a little bit forward so you don't feel left out. A lot of salams to everyone watching at home. Hope, are we ready? Yes? Should we start? Please recite a real salawat with attention. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Tonight, I'm also going to be a little bit naughty. I may even use more than my time, but don't tell the organizer so. We were saying there's 2 modes of being in the world. One mode of being in the world was given to you as a service, as a tool, as a servant. So you can use it to make tools for yourself, to get things done, to make omelets, to make a printer, to make a chair. If this tool, which is meant to be a servant for you, becomes the master, starts asking serious questions, then you're in trouble. Why? Because the servant, this tool, is very limited. This way of using your mind is very limited. It cuts things from its sources. It cannot handle the totality of something. It cannot contain all information. It reduces things to a few set of features. For a printer, it's okay to reduce it to an object. But for your life, for your wife, for your husband, for your friend, that's when trouble starts. For your self-worth, that's where trouble starts. Hala, we have become a culture that only accepts answers for its important questions that comes from this limited way of being in the world. If you ask someone, are you worthy or not? By the way, this is real problems you have. There's a person who says, I'm not worthy. I don't feel loved. Family comes next to her. Family comes next to him. They say, we love you. We love you. You mean so much to us. The person doesn't feel it. Why? Because it's not in a relationship with what it's coming towards it. See, two modes of being in the world. Either you relate to people in a fresh, real encounter, you're mindful, or you just are in your mind. You want to analyze everything. You want to think everything. See, how many times have I seen, as a person working with people, a person, the whole family, I talk to them, they're crying. They say, our day and night we're spending taking care of this child. We love him more than the whole world. We love her more than the whole world. Means so much to us. But I speak to the child, says, no, I'm not worthy. When they tell her that we love you, she, instead of being in a real encounter with the person, allowing that love to come in, being in a relationship with it, she goes to her mind, starts thinking about it. Why would I be worthy? Why would I be worthy? The servant, which she was going to use for making tools, now has taken over, and it's not allowing her to enjoy life. People tell her we love you, she goes to her mind and analyzes it. Why would they love me? They don't know me. I've got this problem. I've got that problem. Why? Because she can no longer even encounter herself. Not only we are not encountering our partners, we are not in a fresh relationship with them, we are not even encountering ourselves. People no longer see themselves as the totality of what they are, a whole beautiful self, a whole beautiful soul created by God. No, we cut ourselves from the source. We cut ourselves from the source and we reduce ourselves to a set of features. I'm the person who has that mistake. I'm the person who has that weight issue. I'm the person who did that. As soon as your understanding of yourself can be summarized in 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences, even 100 sentences, it means you are no longer in an encounter with yourself. The servant, the mind, which were given to you to make tools, has now become the master and has prisoned you in your mind, and you can no longer feel yourself. If you think you're a set of features, that's it. You've lost contact with your soul. There are ways to get out of it. Inshallah, today we'll talk about it. But it's very important for us to know this is a very serious issue. And a person who goes into their mind, they think, they ruin everything. I'm not saying this is bad. This is great. But this, if it's not under control, it can ruin everything. Even you want to become spiritual, it says think your way into spirituality. Keep reading books. Keep reading books. Well, you have to read the books, but at some point you have to encounter something. You have to be in the relationship with the world, with God. But it wants to think its way into everything. It wants to feel worth. It keeps reading books about reading worth. It wants to think its way through everything. But thinking this way is a very limited way of knowing the world. Imagine if a mother wants to find the meaning of life through thinking. Oh, it needs a 10-hour workshop and she may not be convinced. You want to give a mother the meaning of life? Let her hold her child. Once a mother is in a real encounter with her child, not her mind is somewhere else. No, she's present. She's holding the child, and the child is looking at her, and it's shown that mother knows the meaning of life more than anyone else in the world. Can she articulate it? Probably not. But who cares about articulation? You want to know the meaning of life? Fall in love. When you're in love, has anyone ever been in love and asked, what is the point of life? No. Love gives you the answer. Not answered in the form of words. But who said we need words? Words are our servant, not our master. If you want to find the answer to everything through words, you've cut the world from its source. You cut your partner to an object. You turn yourself into an object. And then we need someone to study for 1,000,000 years. Maybe finally they can explain it to you. But all you need to do is let go of that way of being in the world. Fall in love. Hold the child. Look at your parent. It's not that easy. We'll talk about the practices we have to get there. But just understand how important this is. Maybe in your mind, when you go there, when the servant takes over, when you're in your mind, asan دیگه you don't see anything. Life happens in front of you. It does not register on your soul. The person says, I'm not attracted to my wife. I'm like, obviously, because you don't see her anymore. You're in your mind, you're thinking about her. Forget about the mind, just go hug her. Honestly, hug her, see how you feel. Let go of this mind for a few seconds. Hug her. Just see how do you feel then. The world will give you the answer. Allow the world to come in. Allow the people in front of you to relate to you. Relate to them in a fresh way. If you go to your mind, you kill the person in front of you. You even kill yourself. You never feel worthy. Maybe when you reduce yourself as a father, for example, if I reduce myself to a set of features, why should my children love me if all I am to them is a dad who pays for their school and who did a few things for them? If that's my understanding of who I am as a dad, why should my children not like another dad who's richer more? See? When you reduce yourself to a set of features, when you go into your mind to look at yourself, why should your children love you? You doubt yourself. But what you don't understand is that to your children, you are not a few sentences. You are all the memories you have with them. All the moments you two related. All the moments you held them high. No other dad in the world can do that for your children. You are their world. We were working on a case study a few years ago. It was very interesting. Although I can't disclose the details of the case study, but we had a child, there was a child who had a very awful parent. And if even you tried, you couldn't be that bad. So social services came, they were about to take the parents away and put the child in a safe place. The child wouldn't want to go. I want my own daddy. Although the dad was really unsafe, but I'm saying, look how much children love their parents. Even an awful parent who was abusive, the child wouldn't let go. Why? Because to a child, daddy, mommy are not 2-3 sentences. Okay, baby, we'll give you someone richer, kinder. Baba, to your child, to your family, you are the relationship they had with you. The moments you spend, no one else in the world can replace you. But if you come here and want to understand yourself and them through your mind, no way to explain your worth. No way to understand your worth. Please recite the salawat. This problem is not a new problem, although right now it's getting much worse. Inshallah, another time we'll talk about why right now this problem is at its worst. But it's always been there. And humanity has always had practices to get ourselves from this way of being in the world, to turn people into an object, to turn ourselves into an object, to reduce ourselves to a set of features. We've always had practices to go from this to the other way, to a real fresh in-moment encounter. Why do we need practices? You tell me. Because you can't will this. You can't. Alon, it's not like I can sit here and I'm thinking as myself as a set of features. Yeah, Jawad is the one born in that. He's got this degree. I can't decide suddenly to encounter myself fresh. Try it. Sit in front of your partner or your friend and try to appreciate them more. Try to relate them more. You can't. You can't decide your way into it. In the same way that if you're scared, you can't suddenly decide to be courageous. Right? Can you? I must imagine you're sitting down, you're nervous. Can you decide, I want to be courageous? Or maybe someone can, but most of us can't. In order to change the way of being in the world, the mode of being in the world, humanity has always had practices. Even simple things. Maybe imagine when you buy a flower for your partner, you're using a practice. You're using a ritual. Please pay attention. This part of the discussion is so important. And although it's bad for me to keep saying it's important, but the problem is that it's actually really important. Every human society knows, at least the ones who are not too naive, that in order to help yourself to attend the world in a fresh way, to appreciate the things in front of you, you need to put an effort. You need to do something. الان ببین, you're sitting at home with your partner, with your mom, with your sibling. Of course you love them, but right now you don't look at them like, oh, they're the world to you. Even though they are your world, but life slowly makes us forget the appreciation for people. They become just mom. See, this way of being in the world where you reduce people to their function is so easy. Mom is so precious. Alone, if mom, God forbid, passes away, you'll give everything you have to bring her back. But alone, because she's at home, she's just the one who, inshallah, will cook the food. Or sibling is just the one who will do that. Wife is just the one who does this. Husband is the one who just does that. Hala imagine, you're like, oh, I'm married. I was praying one day to have a partner, to get married to this person. Hala, he's sitting right next to me. She's sitting right next to me. Why am I not enjoying? Why don't I get excited to see her? What did society teach you to do? Masalan, they say, get dressed up, go to a restaurant. How can restaurant make you appreciate your partner more? What does a suit have to do with appreciating your partner more? But, God, this is a ritual. This is a practice. I can't just sit down and tell myself, appreciate her more. We have to do something. We have to make the body go through certain things so that our attention changes. You go to the restaurant, if you even pay for the food, maybe it will make you be more mindful. You've dressed up. The dress means nothing, wallah, but it's just something you do so that when you sit in front of each other in restaurant for those few minutes, you see her again. When was the last time you saw her face? When was the last time she saw your face? You say, I missed you. We were in the home living together all these hours. Or your sibling, your uncle. It doesn't always have to be partner, because some people are not married. The first time I experienced this was with my uncle. I was in an interesting situation. I was like, wow, uncle is so exciting. I always felt like uncle is the boring person that helps us sometimes. Masalan, when dad goes away, uncle comes and helps. Honestly, I had reduced him into a set of functions. And when someone told me spend time with your uncle, I was like, why? The guy is boring. When you reduce people to a set of features, they're boring. But no soul is ever boring. Connect to a soul, no matter what their background, no matter what knowledge they have, no matter what is their taste of movies. Once you connect to a soul, no soul is ever boring. No soul is ever not attractive. I connected to my uncle's soul by soul, and it was the best moments of my life. We still, after 5-6 years, message each other. I miss you. One moment of real encounter, soul to soul, for 5-6 years, we're best friends. How do we create that? Alan, I can't do the same with my other uncle, because you can't will it. It had to happen. You need to have rituals. Going to a restaurant is one ritual. Buying a flower is a ritual. Masalan, if you buy a rose, it works more. What's in a rose that does this? It's a ritual. So if someone next time comes and tells you, I want to speak to God, why would I need a means to go towards God? Tell them, whenever you can, don't you love your wife? Don't you love your brother? You love them, they love you. Whenever you got to just suddenly sit down and appreciate them more without making an effort, yes, then go and talk to God without any means. Of course, God is always there. Of course, God always listens. Right now, God is here. The Ahl Bayt are present. But do you feel them? No. The problem is not that they don't listen to you. The reason we need rituals is that we don't listen to them. The way we attend to the world is in such a way that stops us from feeling the God who is right around us. God is right here, guys. هو معكم أينما كنتم. God is present. حالا, I'll speak about how we haven't got there, by the way. My time is running out. I have to be a little bit quicker. Please recite salawat. I have to summarize so much in 10 minutes, so please pay your best type of attention. You know, the one you keep for special occasions, bring that attention in. Use all the energy you got from the iftar. And let's push through this. Hope, we said there are two ways of being in the world, right? In one way, you reduce things to their features, to their functions. You don't encounter them fresh. You don't feel them. You don't feel yourself. You don't feel life, etc. There's another way. You encounter things in a real way. Hope. There are two ways. What's the problem? Let's have this way. The problem is you can't decide to go to that one. You can't suddenly decide to enjoy your sibling more, your mother more. Sometimes in life, something happens, you suddenly appreciate them. God forbid if someone passes away, everyone suddenly goes into this mode of being. You no longer care if sibling does this for you or not. But we want to be able to always live like that. We need rituals. Rituals, practices are of two types. Some rituals and practices only help you with certain things in your life. When you dress up and go to a restaurant with your mother, with your sibling, with your partner, it only helps you to relate to them. And if you, for example, masalan, take your wife to restaurant or your husband to restaurant, you come back, you may appreciate them more. But if your dad calls, you don't appreciate dad more. So this is a practice that helps you with one area of your life. That is still boring. So there are two types of rituals. Some types of rituals help you with a certain area of your life. But there is another type of rituals that automatically changes your mode of being with the whole world. That is your relationship with God. Not what it is right now, what it was meant to be. See, God is the source of all reality. Every person who's beautiful, the source of beauty is God. Every person who's knowledgeable, their knowledge is coming from God. Every soul who's alive, their life is right now coming from God. If you manage to change the way you are attending to God from this goal-oriented way to a real fresh encounter with God, because God is the source of everything, immediately your relationship with everything will change. I'm not saying you have this right now, or I'm not another person like that. No, we don't have it, but it's possible. I want to give you two hadiths. One hadith, the Imam says the God you have in your mind, if you want to relate to God, in your mind, in that mode of being, becomes creation of your mind, and it want to be a makhluk like you. Imam says. So even with God, there are two ways of being. If instead of in your heart relating to God, fresh encounter, you want to relate to God through your mind, the God that you relate to has been reduced to a set of features. Imam in the hadith says it's a makhluk, it's a creation of you like yourself. It's no longer the real God. You reduce the reality, the source of all things, to a set of features. So it won't change you. Pasalan, we need a ritual to change the way we relate to God from these few sentences in our head to a real encounter with the divine, with the source of life. And then the hadith says, if you manage to change the way you relate to God, whoever fixes their relationship with God, what will God do? God will fix their relationship with everyone. Not just everyone, everything. There's a way of relating to God, there's a way of doing salat that after your salat, orange tastes better. Your wife looks better. You look at your dad and you love him more. Why? You attended, you get into a relationship with the source of reality. And so your relationship with everything at the surface also becomes real. Goes from this way of being in your mind to a real, fresh encounter. There's a way of relating to God that afterwards no one needs to explain to you you're worthy. Before that, people were shouting in your face, you're worthy, mate. But their compliments only made you scared more. Now you relate to God, again, no one needs to explain to you. I feel worthy. And Quran says, once you feel that, again, no one can take that away from you. No one can make you doubt this once you felt it inside. In the same way that no one can make a person who's in love doubt that life is beautiful. No, life is the answer to all the questions. So that's why every surah in the Quran starts with what? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The key to unlocking your life experience in this world is to have a real encounter with Allah, who is Rahman and Rahim. Once you manage to change your relationship with God into a real relationship, suddenly everything in the world will make sense. You will no longer need to ask, what is the meaning of life? Should I live or not? Am I worthy or not? Everything will suddenly be answered in your heart. You may not even be able to say it in words, but it happens. Hope. So see, rituals have two types. Some of them either change one area of your life, or there are some sort of divine rituals, divine practices, that you fix one thing, your relationship with God, suddenly everything in life will become fixed. Every single problem you have will be fixed. And Quran, although I don't have time to read the verse for you, Quran says there are two ways of experiencing the world. I spoke about it in Stanmore. Go and watch it there. Maybe in two verses back to back. A group of people go to the prophets, not our prophet, previous prophets. They tell them, we are in doubt. Oh, please pay attention. This is the solution to all your problems. It's not from me. A group of people go to the prophets. They say, we're in doubt. You say there's a God, we're in doubt. You say goodness is good, we're in doubt. The next verse, the prophets say, Afillah shak kun. They say, is there any doubt in God? Obviously, previous verse they said there is a doubt. In one verse they say, we are in doubt, we don't believe it, it's so difficult. Next verse the prophets say, where is doubt? Afillah shak kun. What is happening? There are two modes of being in the world. In one mode of relating to the world, you look around, you can't see God. You've reduced the world into a set of features. You've reduced souls into a set of features. God is a set of sentences. So obviously you can't see God. But there's another way of being in the world that suddenly everything makes sense. Afillah shak kun. You go from having doubts about everything to suddenly, can anyone doubt this? In the same way that moment you fell in love, you were like, come on guys, life is beautiful. What happened to you? A moment ago you were miserable. So there are two ways of being in the world. Either you doubt everything, you don't enjoy anything, or everything suddenly makes sense all at once. That is what religion came to do. Can I get maybe 4 or 5 minutes? Is that okay? 3 or 4 minutes? Yeah? I'm looking for the boss. Where's the boss? If you people said yes, I'm like, bless your soul. Perfect. Thank you so much. Because this is the core of the issue. There are two ways of being in the world. Religion came to fix this. Listen to this verse. It's from Surah Jum'ah. وَابْعَثْ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. I hope I recited that correctly. It says a Rasul, a messenger, will come, has 4 features. Please pay attention to this. Feature number 1, يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ. We'll read you the verses, the hadiths. It's just the appearances, just the verses. First step. And right now we are here. We have Quran, we have the ahadith. But then it says, وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. Then the Rasul came to do something to you, to purify you, to change something in you, to change the way you attend to the world. Then after that happens, يُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. Before the purification, you have the Quran in front of you, but it doesn't speak to you. You can't relate to it. In the same way that you couldn't relate to life, you reduced life to a set of features. You do the same with Quran. Quran is fresh in front of you, talking to you. You keep asking questions about it. You can't relate to it. I know people doing a PhD in Quranic studies, they still don't enjoy the Quran. Why? They're looking at it like this. Not that that's bad, but if that's all of what you're doing, you'll never see the Quran. Quran will never speak to you. Quran is a fresh thing in front of you. You have to treat it like it's alive. But in order for that to happen, between يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ, you need يُزَكِّيهِمْ. The way you encounter the book will change. خب, this يُزَكِّيهِمْ is Sharia. Sharia came to purify us, to change the mode of us attending to the world. Not what we're doing right now, we'll talk about that. Not the way we're doing it right now. But the main way was to get you to relate to it in a better way. Then you look at Quran, Quran speaks to you. Look at the world tells you that there is a Lord. خب, حالا because I don't want to be very arrogant and talk too much, we'll leave the rest of it for tomorrow. But tonight, because it's an important night, I feel terrible not speaking about Imam Ali alayhi salam. Please recite the salawat. Imam Ali is the same. There are two ways of relating to Imam Ali. You can either reduce Imam Ali to a set of sentences that you know about him. Imam Ali was born here, he did this, he did that, which are very important. Or you can send your heart to him right now. He's present. It's possible to be in a real relation with the Imam right now. And do you remember how I said in Islam there are some practices that can change the way we live in the world? One of the best practices we have are the Ahl al-Bayt. Tawassul is that. Tawassul is this. Tawassul is I cannot get myself to look at the world in a different way. I can't. I'm trying, I can't. Tawassul is a wasila. Tawassul is a ritual. It's real. You go through the Imam, they change you. They change the way you attend to the world. If a person doesn't know any of this, they may question it. Tomorrow we'll talk about it. But it's a real thing. Maybe God is always there. Because someone may say, why do I need the Ahl Bayt to speak to God? God listens to you, but can you feel Him? Can you see Him? Can you hear Him? No. If you can, wallah, bismillah, go for it. You can't. God is here, we can't. We need something to change the way we are in the world. One of the best rituals we have are the Ahl al-Bayt. Give your heart to them, they will take it and change it. I'm not exaggerating. Tonight, be mindful whatever you do. We don't know who they are. They're much more special than you think. The most absolute hyper Shia still doesn't know how special the Ahl Bayt is. Tonight, try to go in a real relationship with the Imam and tell him, change my heart. They will. They will. Try to be present. Try to talk to them and ask them to change your heart. Wallah, they can. Let's send the salawat together, but please, please, don't say salawat unless for every word you're mindful. Salawat means that alone right now, we want to send our heart to the Prophet and his family. We want to be in a real relationship with them. We want to encounter them. And they're here. I know you may doubt this, but they're here. Allah, I wish I would explain it even with this mind for you. But Alan, I don't have time for this. We'll explain that to let this mind go for a few minutes. Let your doubts go, because even if you doubt them, your soul still needs them. Let's send the salawat and send our heart to them and ask them to change us. Whenever you're ready. Allah. Another one. Assign in your heart. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Send your heart to him. وعلى آل محمد. آل محمد، امام علی، امام حسن، امام حسین، امام سجاد، امام کاظم. One by one, Allah connected them. They're here. Send your heart.